Hey yo, I hope y'all are doing all right. I've been sick for a little bit, so sorry if my voice sounds a little scratchy, but I wanted to talk about the importance of understanding. Now, this is a biblical thing, but it is also an academic thing. It is also a widespread thing, and it is useful to each and every person, regardless of reason, of personal reason of what their purpose is. And it is useful to everyone. But it's a rare thing. Um, I see, I don't, well, at least in my group, as in teenagers, as in just people my age. I don't. A lot of people don't have the desire to learn certain things, and it's similar to people who don't try certain foods. I think. I think, or like don't try certain things. There's this question that makes me think, and this is more for up there philosophy, I guess, not like Christianity or like something that you would be raised in and grew up in. Um, and it's, do people adopt certain philosophies primarily because it's originally appealing to them? For example, if someone has a very apathetic heart, they might see the philosophy of Friedrich Nietzsche, if I'm pronouncing that right, and they look at it and then they adopt it. And not because it's the truth, but because it's more appealing to what's inside them. It's like, do people click on this? Are people exposed to ideas because they want to be? Or do they look at other things which could be the truth, other philosophies and ideas that could be the truth, but they don't look into it because it's not appealing to them? And so, because of that, I think it's important to branch out and to understand different things because it can add a truth that otherwise you wouldn't have. So, in we should all have this push for truth, I think. This very strong desire for truth. I think most people want that. I think most people care about truth, at least in mind. I wouldn't say most people care about truth in heart. You know what I mean by that is people want to know the truth or have the truth, but they might assume they already have the truth. And I am one of those people, um, but in a different way. No, I could go on. Okay, I no, sure. I'll explain. I'll explain why what the difference is. Um, there's a difference between believing in something that doesn't believe itself to be absolutely true and basing it on reason, and believing in something that does believe itself to be absolutely true and on the basis of faith. Because if you believe in something and you say, by my human reason, this thing is true, and that thing doesn't believe itself to be true. For example, the belief secular humanism. Is like atheist. It's like the most documented and well put form of atheism, right? Because if you refer to atheism, it's not going to have its own like constitution. But secular humanism is a branch of it that does have um, a manifesto. And so you look at it, and it claims itself to be uncertain. It's not. It does not believe that it is absolutely true, whereas Christianity believes itself to be absolutely true. There's no Christian who says, or yeah, there are, but there's no believer in God. God isn't going to say, well, maybe your belief in me is right. No, he is saying, believe in me because I am true. Whereas other ideas, they say, well, these things aren't guaranteed to be true. They're not absolutely true. And so people who have their entire basis on reason, they say, I will only believe in something if it's accurate or true. They kind of assume that something can be absolutely true. Um, and I am on the faith side. I'm on the faith side rather than the reason side. But even then, There are certain ideas that can help me understand. There are certain ideas within Christianity that aren't absolutely true. Like plenty, like if anything, most, right? Um, there's branches of Christianity. It's absolutely worth discussing. Um, and there are things on the reason side. It's worth understanding as a Christian what other people are are learning and understanding, not because, and this is on the basis of faith, not because they might be true, but rather to understand why they believe what they believe in. And one, why they might be wrong. But that's a very harsh way to put it. It's like you are just understanding other people's beliefs to prove that they're wrong. I don't think that's the way to go about it, but it's reinforcing to the Christian's belief. Two, helps you understand your belief in God, right? So what I just did there is a perfect example. Whenever I was talking about faith and reason, I believe what I believe because it's on the basis of faith, whereas the non-believer will probably believe what they believe on the basis of reason. And so I only know this because I looked at other philosophers, primarily Soren Kierkegaard, and so he was on the faith side. But regardless, there are other people that had the same idea. He's technically got like three different ideas, not just faith and reason. But the idea of faith and reason, I think, comes from secular philosophy. And because of this secular philosophy, and because I've ventured out to understand, trying my best to understand what these people are saying, it has completely changed my idea of what I'm believing. So it's like on the basis of reason, my belief is based on faith. Um, and if that sounds unreasonable to you, one, I already have my faith implanted in faith, so that's not going to move it. And two, the basis of reason is based on faith because you have to have faith in your own reason. I know it's complicated, but the whole point is everyone should have a push for truth. And the only reason not is if you have faith in something that is completely contradictory to truth and you know it. And I doubt that's really most people. If you're interested in truth, I think each person should though. And understanding, it adds to other understandings that we have. So as I learn about faith and reason, it changes my view on my belief in God, and it made it much more certain. Whereas before, that was uncharted territory that I didn't even know about. I would be flip-flopping between I believe in God because it's reasonable and I believe in God because of faith without even knowing it. And so I think just based off of that, there should be this like or this fire to understand, because why would you want to do that? Why would you want to contradict yourself? And you got to be a warrior of truth. I think everyone should. So in that, I want to talk about the importance of academics. There's a stigma of academics within the people who are in academics. Now, there are certain people with an idea of like, I think there's two extremes. I think one side is saying you need to do this work and do this and do that, and then you can get good grades and then you can get a good education. But I think a lot of times the bigger picture is out of that. The bigger picture is the career, the your personal understanding, and I think a lot of people actually do weigh that. I would love to ask people about it. I think a lot of people do weigh personal understanding and just like how smart are you, your capacity to understand. I think people do weigh that in academics. But then there's the other side, and it says, man, this stuff doesn't even matter. I'm going to be an entrepreneur. And hey, don't get me wrong. Some people, not everyone's called to be, even get a high school diploma or even go to school at all. But I think, at least for me personally, it is worth it. It is important. And it's important to general understanding. You don't need it for general understanding, but It's pretty important, you know. Um, but I think there's a flaw. I would say there's a flawed academic system for sure. I think because what is the objective behind education? To I guess the simplest answer is to have the other person learn. And in that objective, sure, education is highly, I wouldn't even say that actually, but I would say the objective is one, to help these people out in their careers, to, better the nation, and to raise them up and give them intellectual minds that can be used for glorious nation Kazakhstan. But I don't think it meets that objective at all. I think it kind of does. I would say the grade system is messed up. Because it's like I think a lot of people just kind of want to get by, and there's that lack of a push for truth, and I think it's sad. And I think Neil Tyson has a decent idea of it. We shouldn't have people not wanting to learn. Um, Curiosity in the human mind is very like there. It's very on fire. It's very active. Each person should be very curious and very keen to understanding. But rather, we kind of push that down and we suppress that with the education system. I don't know a lot about it, but I could say that as a person in school, it's pretty flawed. Now, I can still go to a American history class. I can go to an English class. I can go to different classes and learn a lot, and then put it towards my own understanding. So, so here's the thing, though. Um, as it's a tool, education is a tool, and if you're like that sounds way different than what you just said, you're right. Good job. Education is a tool. It's not necessarily doing a wrong job. A lot of it is wrong, but at the end of the day, it's a tool, something you can utilize. Um, and a lot of people say like, well, these classes are stupid. That's like a big problem. I think, and again, it just depends on your objective. Are you going to school just for your career, or do you care enough for truth to learn those other classes? And are you like, you might be like, man, what are you talking about? But like, if you truly do care about truth, if you're a warrior truth, and you care about understanding, I think once you get that pre-cal class, man, you gotta learn it. I didn't want to, and I didn't. I cheated through the whole thing. But if I did, I think it'd be pretty cool. Um, so it's useful nonetheless, right? There might be a lot of flaws with it, but it's useful nonetheless. So, and I've had this push for understanding, and I want to put it into academics and then put it into um, future videos. I'm going to talk about that later. So I used to like right before this is Christmas break now. Right before this, I took American history last year, but I have friends that are in the grade below me, and so just so I could hang out with them, I would go to their American history class, and the professor's pretty cool, and so I just kind of sit there. And but the first day he noticed me, actually technically the second day, um, but he noticed me. He was like, "Are you just gonna stay here?" And I was like, "Yeah, I guess so." And then I came the next day, and then he was like, "Are you gonna stay here forever now?" I was like, "Yeah, I guess so." And so I just started doing that. But what I found in that is the subject and the what I was learning was actually super useful to what I was learning personally because it had these two things, right? I was literally like not learning what I was learning in school and then learning other things. And I think there's like this non-conformist force behind that. It's like, man, I'm not going to learn what everybody else is learning. I want to learn what I want to learn. And then I'll be like extra smart. But the problem with that is that you might fail and not be able to go to the next class, which is about learning. And so it's like, if I have this personal understanding outside of school and I want to learn outside of school, how cool would it be if I wanted to learn in school? And I was literally going to this class about American history, and I thought it was so cool. And I was like, it literally was what I was learning last year. And so I should just put this towards school. And I think most people should. I got a friend, he kind of figured that out as well, but he doesn't have like a general push for understanding, but rather he would learn stuff like in class. He learned stuff about like electricity, internet connection. He's smart. And so then he got classes and about what he was learning because of that. That's a little different, but school can be useful, and school is actually very, very useful. Um, and so I think I'm going to do that for a lot of these future videos. I think I'm going to take what I've learned, because I'm going to take a world religions class. And boy, I'm going to want to, well, it's a pretty hard class. It's a pretty dense class. And for me, that's great. But I think it's useful to put that and to manifest that into videos. And I'll tell you the different reasons why. One, I've been personally called to know, to understand. I I think it's genuinely, I could talk about it as a whole experience. I've been genuinely called by God to know, just for this period of my life. And so to go out and to make these videos, it's a great way for me to understand. That's the second reason. It's a great way for me to understand it. Um, you have different ways of learning. You know, if you want to learn something, you write it down, you take some notes. So it makes it a lot easier to understand, and that works for me. But a very cool way to do it and a very efficient way to do it is for me to just talk about it. So, how useful would it be if I made videos about it and had that learned by teaching it in a video? And so the third reason is the video creation, that whole idea, it publicizes what I'm learning. And so there's two cool things about that. And the second thing is the fourth and final reason. But it kind of gives me like an extra motive, right? It gives me deadlines because I'm gonna try to do it every week. It gives me not necessarily like other people dependent. Like people aren't gonna be like, oh, when is the next HCH video? I need to learn about how Christianity spread to Finland. Like that's probably not gonna happen. But it's kind of like that idea, right? A very distant version of that. So the final reason I'm doing this is because a lot of these concepts and ideas and stuff that I've studied, it goes, I can't, it's hard to find. Like, why is it so hard to find? And so rather than keeping those hard to find resources out there, I like to have like a steady stream of just digestible, high quality content, and without any cut corners, with a very good transparency. If I'm generalizing something, I'll tell you I'm generalizing something. If I don't know something, I'll tell you I don't know it. If I have like a bias for something, you know, it not the Christian belief might be a big part of it, then I'll explain why. Well, I'm not going to explain like the entire reason I believe in Christianity, but you know what I mean? Like, if I believe a certain way that might be unpopular, then I'll tell you that reason. I'll give you the viewpoints. I won't just tell you one way. Now, if something is like axiomatically accepted, I'm not gonna like go into every single viewpoint. Like, you know, Galileo did talk about the Earth being round, but here's why other people think it's flat. Why would I waste my time doing that? It's so pointless. So rather than doing that, I'm just going to be transparent with what I have, and but technically and like very technically, it will be like a lot of plagiarism, but I'll still put in resources. Especially if it's like you know, here's my way of putting it from this guy, or like a summary of a book, or my thoughts on a book, or my thoughts on this thing, or my version of this thing, whatever. It'll all be different stuff just for the push of truth, for those reasons. The so that I can personally understand it and to give other people those resources that might be hard to find. And so I understand how difficult this might be. I mean, like if I actually post a video every week and I continuously do that, and to actually like to go from nothing to be doing this a lot, I understand that it might be very difficult, but it's entirely worth it to do. And there's no risk, but I really want to take that seriously. And I hope it is a blessing to you all. And I hope that the attitude of Christ that I will try my best to display is a godly comfort to everyone. I hope that it helps people and it helps me in my journey, in my walk with God. I love you all, and Lord willing, I'll be in the next video, and I hope to see you there. Bye.